Hello everyone, welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. We have a 1v1 for you guys today, a little bit different from the 2v2 series of 3s we've had from the Knights and Squires tournament recently, but we do still have NDMO with us here, the instructor from Bootcamp, here to give his commentary and thoughts on this game. And Bootcamp really is a really nice resource for newer players, especially those interested in 1v1, competitive, Wargame Red Dragon, things like that, and NDMO and the other instructors there do a really good job. So, do you want to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about this game as the opener gets underway? I'm playing Blue Dutch German Core Moto against Haymaker's Commonwealth Moto.
Yeah, Haymaker is kind of a. I've played Haymaker's Commonwealth Moto on quite a few occasions, and each time I was always left exhausted after because he does a very good job of utilizing its strengths to win. Mudfight is definitely one of the worst and best maps for Moto because if you can get away with getting your infantry in the middle town and occupying the forest, bad things can happen for you. Also, it's a great map for heli rushing, something that Moto is very good at. So it'll be interesting to see how Commonwealth Moto, which I think is definitely on the upper scale in the Moto hierarchy, going up against your kind of, we'll say interesting DGC Moto runs.
Unconventional. So let me just say this right as we get underway. I make a huge mistake here. I had wanted this entire column to go over into Alpha, and I fast moved them just far enough in that it's not faster for them to take off here and go, off-road. They're all trying to stay on the road and cut over. And you know what that's going to mean here in just a second, don't you?
Oh, the Wombat Herd.
The Wombat Herd, there's
the
7 of them
Airborne.
here. Yep.
So you got your AA Helo there placed preemptively. That's smart, but I don't think that's going to help stop the Wombat Horde.
Nope, turns out no. Not even a little. So I'm actually chasing the Lynx H7 over there, but everything, this is right when I notice. And I'm saving what I can, but look at this. Core Mariner 95, just nothing that they can do.
Haymaker doing the smart play and doing a split push from his spawn, that's definitely really important. Being able to occupy one of the towns by pushing both at the same time is essential when playing Moto on this map, for any Moto deck, be it Baltic, Commonwealth, or DGC.
So, I'm really curious, looking at the composition here, how do you think this town fight's going to go? I have a Milan 2, I have KCT, I have double stack of Deckens Grupa, and there's 2 Vickers Mark 11, a Wolverine, lots of Rover Wombats.
With everything alive, I anticipate Red 4 just takes it. Now, if I'll say this, the execution's a little sloppy with how some of his AA and fire support are in front of the infantry. But if the Milan's just gonna miss again, like it always does,
I got a Wombat.
that may not be a problem.
Yeah, so I figured he'd actually go pretty deep in here, and the Deckens Grupa do just amazing stuff. So there's SAS, there's Commandos 90, SAS down to 2 strength immediately.
Excellent picks on the Deckens Grupa as well.
Yeah, kind of lucky to be honest. That does come down to control and execution from Haymaker as well, just unloading a little bit late. It's always a risk when you dive into that deeper section of town. You might not get what you think you're going to get. Vickers Mark 11s, FL12s, and
I want to just take a moment, Black Knight, to just like pause it here for a second. This is why Mudfight's. I don't like Mudfight, but it is interesting when you look at the map dynamic sometimes. Despite the fact that Haymaker controls both towns currently, and the map is not quite yet decided yet. You occupy all of Alpha, and because you're both motorized, you both still have equal opportunity to dislodge each other in the future. From my perspective, I know this game's only 9 minutes long, so something wacky happens here, but from my perspective, if I was in your shoes or in Haymaker's shoes, I wouldn't really be able to say if, what would happen here. What would the end of this match look like?
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I appreciate you saying that, because I think it's really easy for players, especially with your experience, to look at something and say, okay, this is how this is already going to go. This person's already thrown. This game's already over. And it's a little bit harder to say it's not. And this one very much is just a weird board state.
I will say it's a lot easier to do that when neither deck has access to mediums. So
yeah, fair. Just to explain this Ponzu Tiger, before the match, Haymaker and I were both in voice, and I said, hey, are we playing this no holds barred, or are we playing like an actual friendly? And he had wanted to do some ranked after, and so we said no holds barred. That's why when I feel like I'm gonna lose the board position here, I go for the decap. And it's a little rude, but clearly the game goes on past it, at least for a little while. I just thought I'd say, everyone here is going to see my bad manners. This was negotiated bad manners. He was aware it was a possibility. And I think that goes a long way. Equal expectations makes friendlies a lot friendlier, and what's really goofy is what happens to it. Patu Tiger comes in with a miss, hot drop here from the SAS, and 1-2.
Wonderful.
So, you know,
Beautiful utilization of 140 points.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So we have Haymakers, Vickers, Mark 11s pushing up. I try to meet that with an escort, and the 50 cals actually stun me here with just 1 kill. And then we're just moving in. So base core Mariner, Deccan's Grupa,
Yeah,
Fuchs,
this
PWI.
if those commandos don't get up front, this is over in regards to if the core Mariner enter the town, they win the fight.
Yeah.
I don't understand what the commandos are up to unless he's waiting for you on purpose to go deep. This is bad form. You should definitely be using the mini-me out in the open to its advantage because you do less damage to infantry when you're in urban combat.
Well,
This would be the opportune time for the commandos to peak.
I think he was a little bit nervous here because we didn't see it happen, but both of the Vickers died to a single FL-12. And that really cut off a lot of his control and a lot of his knowledge of what's going on in Foxtrot. So he can see some of this, but not a lot of it, and that probably just made him feel a little bit like, let's get something else in here. Let's get the reinforcements in these Saxons, the ATGM, and the Lynx H7. I think it was more of a thought from him that he could win the long grind in the town so long as his reinforcements got there in time, even if it wasn't necessarily perfect trading. Especially, you know, he's killed a Patu Tiger, he's killed a fair amount of stuff, right? So I don't know, I think it was the decision to defend instead of proactively sort of attack in order to defend. And it's going to come back to bite him a little bit, to be honest. It's
Yeah, because now the core Mariner are in here. Now, this is what I want. This is why. Okay, so pause it right. This is what I meant earlier a second ago. Because you're both Moto, neither of you actually. Haymaker's opener didn't actually offset the map balance in any way, and because your opener actually made it into alpha despite taking some casualties, you've now completely changed the dynamic of the map by occupying his right flank town. This is going to be AIDS to remove, to put it simply, even with no zoning capability. The fact that these 2 Stingers are here with the Fallshrooms, that's just going to be really annoying. The Fuchs Milans, if they actually hit, that's going to be funny.
So they don't, because they're Fuchs Milans, and, you know, I have 4 of them here,
Wow.
and all 4 of them miss the ADATs, but I do still have some vision, so all infantry gives you medium optics, and that ADATs is going to be spotted unless it goes into the woods here. It's going to be in the open, and as you sort of said earlier, Core Mariner, they're going to win. 3 of them, they're just going to win this, even against the SAS on that side. And this is starting to look really more in my favor here, but it didn't feel like it during. It's such a high-pressure match. It's part of why I don't like playing Moto. Everything is just on speed, right?
Yeah.
So we get
It's
the
definitely a deck for speed.
Yeah.
And you could take that phrase and apply whatever meaning you want to it.
Fair enough. So we are going to be wiping out these SAS here. I was really kind of disappointed I couldn't deal with these Lynx H7s, and then I realized, you know, these SAS, they're engaging Deccan's Grupa inside the same town block. They're not going to be able to effectively deal with the escorts, especially, you know, they're pretty far in. They're not on the outskirts here. They're not going to be always having the best line of sight with those Stingers. And they're both panicked, so they actually roll a miss. We can clean up some of the Milans. The escort has an autocannon, the Lynx H7 does not. And that makes a big
Classic
difference.
Commonwealth Moto play, buying as many helicopters as you can. Rocket pod going into space, in case you just missed that.
Oh,
that was
shit,
very
yeah.
funny.
Wait, where is it? It's up here?
It's gone.
There's
It's in
the
space
smoke trail.
now.
You're right, I
There's
missed
one,
it.
yeah.
There's the smoke trail. No idea how that happened, but yeah. This also, I feel like Haymaker rolled a little bit unluckily there. My Deccan's Group and Core Mariner, I feel like, should be dead from the GR7 strike.
Yeah, with a single supply truck getting them back on a full strength, that's just going to be difficult to remove.
Yeah, and
Despite the fact that Haymaker gets opening superiority here, he's now found himself in an awkward spot where Delta has been this is a textbook flank and just cut off. You may not have decapitated his spawn, but you've decapitated control of his reinforcement route. This is very bad for Haymaker to be in right now.
And I kind of want to point out as well, we've seen a little bit of the different strengths of these decks come in. Like, Commonwealth Moto, I agree with you, is more traditionally powerful, but what can Commonwealth helicopters do against escorts, really? And they have to rely on SAS.
What can any infantry do against Elite Core Mariner?
Yeah, right. So some of that explosive opener with the Rover Wombat is sort of, in my opinion, counterbalanced by the better grind that DGC Moto gets. Fallschirmjäger 90, of course, very, very, very deadly with their space guns and Licht MG3. these are just base core Mariner, but look at that, 80% accuracy on the FAL, the follow is not bad, and it stretches my core Mariner 90 out, so I don't need to buy as many of them necessarily if I don't need that anti-tank. And I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit on the anti-infantry capability just to slam in 15 strength elites. You know, they're good, even if they don't have the best tertiary in the game, sort of thing. So,
Wolverine getting the pick on this escort, or will it perish?
so I manually targeted it, but I think I then lost vision because I retarget on the Oslov 25. Yeah, so...
God, what was that, 80 points? It all just died right there? All those wombats?
40 from the wombats, I believe, and that's going to be the surrender, so...
Oh, yeah, that's game, yeah. That's pretty brutal. I think this is sad. I think Haymaker could have used, I'm gonna be frank, the Vickers is such a great unit to counter, like, all of your vehicles, but he didn't get a chance to use it because he went a little too aggressive in the opener there, fed it to your escort, and your maneuvering ultimately won you the game. Tactically surrounding the infantry in middle, and then your escorts just clean everything up.
Yeah, and I just want to say from this too, this is an unusual result. Most times that Haymaker and I go against each other with Moto, like we did this a couple months ago, and we had 3 or 4 games in a row, Moto versus Moto, and I just got railed. So he really is an excellent player. I think this game in particular, he's been a little under the weather the last couple of days, and small micro slips become way more important when both players are playing Moto, and everything's just faster. So I don't think we've seen his best there. And I look forward to the opportunity to post another game where he definitely does get revenge for this, which I expect will happen soon once he's no longer feeling a little bit subpar. So, NDMO, thank you for being on for the replay, and I promised you a weird game. I hope I delivered, at least a little bit.
Yeah, that was definitely a Mudfight Moto Magic match, for sure.
Fair enough. Well, thank you guys all for hanging around. We'll have another game for you here real soon.